What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Frankie Bones, and in today's video, I know it's a little bit late, but we're going to be recapping the Yankees Padres series from this past weekend. I was away for the holiday weekend, so hopefully everyone had a chance to enjoy some good weather, and as well thank our servicemen and women, especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So quickly to outline, we'll break down all the games, go through some key takeaways, talk some injuries, and some potential returns really soon. Talk about a few stats just about a third of the way through, and we will talk about some upcoming matchups for the squad. If you guys are new, please feel free to subscribe to not miss out on any more Yankees content in the future, and like this video if you guys enjoyed. But without further ado, we'll hop right into it. So the first thing we'll talk about, we'll hop right into the games, talking about Game 1 first, obviously. The Padres end up taking this one by a score of 5-1. And, pretty interesting because the Yankees end up calling up Randy Vasquez to get through the Domingo Germán suspension. And as we send Johnny Brito back down in accordance with Sevy, but Randy Vasquez actually pitched pretty well. He gave us 4 2/3, I believe, and was nothing spectacular. I actually didn't get a chance to watch the game, but I believe this game was on Apple TV Plus, so hopefully this run of games on random streaming platforms is over for the near future, but moving on, Joe Musgrave pitched pretty well for the Padres, ended up tying us down. Soto and Tatis both had 2-run shots in this game, and Vasquez ended up pitching pretty well, like I'd mentioned. The Yankees bullpen falters a little bit here and sort of does not give the Yankees an opportunity to really come back in this one, so we end up dropping the first game of the set by a score of 5-1. Next, we'll talk about Game 2. The Yankees end up taking this one by a score of 3-2 in extra innings. Luis Severino pitches again, and he threw really well. His stuff is really clicking, and it's more just a matter of stretching him out. I believe he threw just over 80 pitches, but went 6 2/3, only allowing 1. With 5 Ks, he did have 3 walks, but expect that from a guy who is working back. Overall, pretty phenomenal day from him. And today was DJ Day. He had a really strong impact on this team. He was responsible for both of the first 2 runs on the day, went 2 for 3 with a home run and 2 RBIs, a solo shot, and an RBI double, I believe. And, at the time, that was just sort of enough to get the job done. Tatis also hit a home run in this one. The pen was really strong for the Yankees to back up Sevy. And in the end, IKF walks it off, and the Yankees end up tying up the series. And finally, we'll wrap it up with the rubber match. The Yankees end up taking this game on Sunday by a score of 10-7. The offense was really out in this game, which is a good sign because Garrett Cole was shaky again for his second start in a row, allowing 5 runs in back-to-back games. The first one coming against the Orioles, but he went 6 strong, gave up 5. With 3 walks, 9 Ks, the stuff was still pretty good. And we'll talk a little bit more about him later on. But, again, the story of the day, the Yankees offense, they end up dropping a crooked number in the third. They put up 7. The bottom 5 guys in the lineup today really were strong contributors. Bader, Higgy was a strong contributor as well. Really everybody, which was really important to see. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit more here in the key takeaways. But overall, just a great way to end the homestand. A less than ideal result against the Orioles, a division rival. Really want to have that one. But the opportunity to come out and take this series against, maybe a struggling Padres team, but also a very talented Padres team as well. And I think it was a good result for us. Obviously, can't sweep everybody. But on the homestand, to be able to come out at even is not bad. Obviously, you want some couple of games back from those Orioles that the Yankees sort of blundered away, but we're talking about the Padres. So we'll move on to talk about some key takeaways. The first one we'll talk about, like I just sort of reiterated, this was a good result to end the homestand after a disappointing series against Baltimore. Good to get the momentum going. Now we're on the road. I'm recording this Tuesday morning, having gotten back late last night. So did have an opportunity to watch the game against the Mariners last night. We'll get into that in the next video, which will be out in a couple of days. But good way to leave home with a good taste in your mouth. Two, pretty good teams we're going up against here on the road, which again we'll talk about a little bit more, but that was just important to have this team going with some good momentum. The next thing we'll talk about is the quote-unquote other guys. End up stepping up in both wins. Not saying DJ is another guy, but he has been struggling as of late, so really great to see him back, especially in the extra base hit department, the run production department, so big to see him step up in Game 2 again, 2 for 3 with a home run, 2 ribbies. Scored 2 of our 3 runs. And just the bottom 5 guys in Game 3 just really stepped up. In addition to guys like Judge, I think it's just really important for people to continue to come through, especially at the bottom. It gives us a lot of momentum. It allows you to flip the lineup. It allows you to, keep rallies going, keep innings going, and really tax some pitchers in some of these longer series, especially when you get into 4-game sets. So I thought the other guys did a great job contributing here in this win. The next thing we'll talk about, Aaron Boone continues to mix up his leverage guys at the back of the bullpen. Clay Holmes has settled down a little bit more. He had one outing this weekend. I believe it was on Sunday in Game 3 where he ended up allowing 1 run. Not the end of the world, obviously, with the result that we had, up by 4 runs, but his confidence is sort of back, and with a lot of different guys. Ron Marinaccio has sort of gotten his rhythm back, I would say, in a way, but just continuing to use guys like Wandy King, Clay Holmes, and just having the ability to be able to mix and match with these guys. It's pretty evident that Aaron Boone loves to play the matchup game with the bullpen, and as long as he's confident with all these guys and they're producing, I'm relatively fine with that as well. Obviously, I'd love to have just one closer, but situationally, it gives you a lot of flexibility in some of these games as well. So just something to note. And the last key takeaway we'll talk about is Garrett Cole just needs to get back in the lab. And he had an absolutely dominant start to the season. And I think that, I don't know if it's that he's getting figured out a little bit. His stuff is still really good and looks really sharp, but I don't know if it's pitch sequencing. I don't know if it's, anything from just Jose not being there or, who knows. But back-to-back games at home where he allowed 5 earned runs, definitely not what you want to see. He's been giving up the long ball more and more as well, which was definitely not there over his first 5 or 6 starts. So just love to see him get back in the lab to sort of refocus and just try and get back to that form, because the pitching staff is really stepping up around him as well. Herman pitched well last night, but again, we'll talk about that in the next video. But it'd be really great to see him just sort of rededicate, get back in, hit the ground running, and come out with another dominant start again later this week. So at this point, we'll move on to talk about some injury news. First one, we'll talk about Anthony Rizzo. So he actually injured his neck on a pickoff attempt, snapback throw coming back to first. He ended up exiting the game, and we'll have to see. Really didn't get too many updates on him at this point. He had off last night, which was Monday in the first game of the Mariners series, so have to stay tuned for some more news. Didn't look super serious, so could definitely be back in the lineup tonight. Aaron Boone mentioned he wanted to get him a day on this stretch on the road, so this could be that day, but we'll have to stay tuned. Obviously, I just want to talk about it because he came out of that game. the next thing we'll talk about a trio, and we're going to tie these guys all up into one bundle. Giancarlo Stanton, Josh Donaldson, Tommy Kahnle, they are all going to be reporting to Somerset tonight for a rehab assignment. I will be there at the game with my pop, so super excited for that. Hopefully Stanton and Donaldson hit absolute tanks. Donaldson hit like a 460-footer the other day, and we know Stanton can do the same, so it would be a ton of fun, and looking forward to seeing them later tonight. But they continue to get closer and closer to their return to the lineup, so some more roster juggling will have to be done at that point. Also talking about some of these guys, I think they didn't rule out any three of these guys to be with the team for our second series here on this away stand with the Dodgers. I find that, probably not as likely, just being so far away, maybe rejoining the team, or at least a few of them when we return home. So looking forward to that. Help is on the way. And a little bit further, not as far along, talk about a guy who's been featured on this segment literally every video this year, Carlos Rodon. In an interview with Meredith Marakovits last night, he told her that he, quote, felt normal and healthy. In his bullpen yesterday, he threw 20 high-intensity pitches off of the mound. And this was also with a full pitch mix as well. So the next step's just continuing to have a few more bullpens, continuing to work in the mix and try and increase the number of pitches that he throws. And ultimately, the next step after that would be facing live hitters in somewhat of sim games. So we'll have to see. Obviously, it feels great that he's progressing on from this cortisone shot, it appears, and looking forward to strengthening him out. Definitely seems like it's, month plus out, which I feel like I've been saying every video, but at this point we sort of have some substance to go off of in this situation. His throwing program has begun. If he continues to progress, that's sort of a natural progression for him in terms of the timeline. So the last little segment that we'll have here before we talk about our next upcoming games is some stats through the first 55 games of the year. This doesn't include the game on Monday night. So the Yankees went 32-23. They were 6 games back of Tampa Bay. Good for third in the AL East, which is incredible. Up 9 games, 6 games back. But I guess that was kind of us last year, except in reverse. And the Yankees have the 5th best record in the American League. So overall, we've been playing really, really great as of recent, probably over the last 20 games, 21 games. And I hope we can just continue that stretch over a full month sample size and, really just show what this team is capable of. Now we'll split it into some of our offensive numbers versus pitching. Offensively, we're slashing .236, .307, and .417. Good for a .724 OPS. So, average down just a little bit. On base percentage, obviously, you'd love to be higher. And the slug overall isn't super high. But the Yankees are continuing to get this done, and these numbers definitely should increase. Obviously, we have some power guys out with Giancarlo and Josh Donaldson. So we'll have to see how these numbers sort of trend throughout the second third of the season, the meat of the season, and through the All-Star break as well. Some other numbers to talk about: 253 runs for the Yankees, 81 home runs. We had 176 walks compared to 457 strikeouts, so definitely would love to see this ratio get a little bit closer. Still a lot of strikeouts and lots of walks early, but I think this would give the Yankees an opportunity to get guys on base, and long ball is always a threat at that point. Also, the Yankees had 40 stolen bases on the year, which, again, hot early. Need to get back to that, just sort of putting the pedal down and, just having a little bit of pace to our game. Talking about our pitching staff, 3.76 ERA overall as a team, 1.232 whip, 7.6 hits per 9, just over 1 home run per 9. And then our strikeout to walk ratio as a staff, just about 500 for strikeouts and just under 200 for walks. So just want to throw out a couple of stats. You guys can pick and choose what you want to take from those. Obviously, that's all that stats are. But overall, feel pretty good. Again, we have one of the better bullpens in baseball. Starters are starting to come around. Team ERA really not bad at all. That's probably, top 10 in the league. And the wins are going to happen. We have some hot teams in front of us, and we just have to continue to do our thing. And to round out those stats, MVP for the first third of the season, obviously Aaron Judge. His slash line, 291, 398, 633. OPS over 1, 15 home runs, 35 RBIs, and an OPS plus of 181. So just continuing right where he left off last year. Obviously a short stint on the IL, but guy's been absolutely doing his thing, and this team really needs that. It needs the captain now, so it makes it even that much more important. And finally, the last thing we'll talk about is our upcoming series, what's up next for this Yankees squad. So, although it's already started, so I guess maybe this is up now, but the Yankees have a 3-game set at Seattle. Then they will have an off day before traveling for 3 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Have an off day again before they return home to square off with the Chicago White Sox. Again, would love to definitely have at least a split on the road here. I think that would definitely give the Yankees some momentum heading back to home to be able to capitalize. Obviously, the Yankees play really well at home. So we'll see. Obviously, started off not talking about it too much. Again, I've said that, but here I am talking about it again. Yankees end up taking care of business game 1 against the Mariners, which is great. So just would love to see them continue the momentum. Obviously, the Dodgers, an incredibly good team. We're seeing some of the better starters from Seattle. Would love to get that momentum going to be able to try and sweep the White Sox when we return home. But let me know what you guys would take away from this Yankees-Padres series, some of your key takeaways, how these injuries, people coming back from injury rather, are going to be able to help this team, and overall what you thought of the first third of the season. I thought overall, we played well. Could have went better. We definitely faltered a bit, but what can you do? 9 games over 500. Just love to keep rolling. So interested to see what you guys have to say in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Subscribe if you're new for more Yankees content in the future. But for now, that's going to do it for me, guys. This has been your boy Frankie Bones, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace out.